our next case study presenter is a well-known guy in the sector, Rakesh Maharaj, over 25, 30 years experience in the power sector, ex-ESCOM, ex-City Power, also ex-project lead of the PICC SIP 9 and 10 for many years, and still working significantly in the power sector, and now progressed to being a developer, project developer on the IPP side, but with an excellent knowledge and experience on the systems aspects of the power delivery side of the business. So his case study will reflect on the digitalized aspects of future-proofing of the municipality. And Rakesh wanted more time, but I said you can't have more time because the subject matter is quite extensive. So Rakesh, without much further ado, you have 15 minutes to give us your expertise on that case study. Over to you, Rakesh.
Thank you, Valley. Good afternoon to all the panelists and colleagues online. Now, I think Tommy gave an excellent link into my presentation, looking specifically at the digital utility and the roadmap to digital utilities. As we look forward and what's coming in terms of all of the, just this morning, there was a news report of a new internet cable running into the terabytes, making landfall in South Africa. When we consider what 5G has brought and all of these new data platforms, technology, the evolution of energy technologies, which Tommy and other team members touched on, what we're going to see is an explosion of data coming from a variety of sources, which the utility of tomorrow needs to be able to first collect, process, and then act on. What we're going to be seeing is bidirectional flow from data, not just between equipment and utility, but equipment, utility, customer, and the famous prosumer that we've been hearing so much about. What we need to be able to do, and this is the whole concept of big data analysis, Prof. Vikas and earlier colleagues spoke about the need for resources, the ability for people to be able to take this information and then act on it. And again, colleagues like Tommy, etc., spoke about the cost effectiveness of our solutions, energy efficiency, the planning, the operations, maintenance management, as well as, and key to all of this is our customers' experience and grid resilience. Looking at the future roadmap of what will digitalization bring to us, and very specifically, the starting point is a mature, established utility before we embark on this journey. So they've got the systems, the processes, the data, and then embarking on this. Some of the aspects that, as you will see in the presentation in terms of things like smart meter enablement, energy storage, etc. These are things that are already happening to some degree within our businesses and utilities. A key, though, is to understand that this is not the be all and end all. And the implementation of new technologies does not solve inherent underlying key challenges. This is very well illustrated with the adoption of smart metering by certain utilities, where the desired output is far from the promised land of riches that when those solutions were originally sold. What I'd like to step through, and we'll come back to discussing many of these technologies, is that if we take stock today, most of our utilities at minimum share and antagonistic relationship, and we heard Tommy mention that as well with their customers, and at best a tolerance that the utility is doing the very minimum it should. Our daily reports of service delivery issues across the country, be it water or electricity related, is a cause for major concern. And something that specifically remains hidden is that non-ESCOM electricity utilities have been hiding behind load shedding. This cloak of darkness that load shedding has given us has actually hidden the true nature of the underlying state of health of the distribution utility industry. I think if we gave Prof. De Beer 2 hours, he would fill it up instantly with the issues looking behind that. He's done extensive studies about the state of the distribution network. And he mentioned the figures of 35 billion early 2012. That number has grown, I think in 2017, around 80 billion, and who knows where it would sit today. I think the key challenge we have is at the most basic level. And from the work I did in the PICC and work, a report and studies that I did in 2017, 2018, most utilities have neither the systems or processes to support their business model. Asset registers or knowledge of the state of health of those assets is virtually unknown. And we've heard that being stated earlier today as well. A complete record of customers with the handles on sales, billing, and revenue collection is non-existent. And I think most telling of all is there is no funded strategy to get us out of this current crisis. Prof. De Beer spoke about the EDI roadmap and where we are today. Prof. Vickers spoke about the challenges with the resources. We heard Prof. Naidu speak about the supply chain challenges that we're facing. And I think Tommy brought it very, very close to home in terms of the practical challenges that we are facing. So when we look at this, and with the extensive experience that I've had with systems implementation, in fact, as we speak, I'm currently advising on a large outage management solution implementation for a distribution utility. This is a utility that's very mature in terms of technology, but this solution is taking between 2 and 3 years to implement due to its complexity. So if we look at this current crisis mitigation stage, the 0 to 3 years that's been mentioned, one of the key challenges that we need to start with, and has already been highlighted so many times this morning, is competencies. Without the right people, the transformation that we're looking for, the improvement is not possible. And more importantly, once we have these competencies, how do we retain them within our organizations? Once we have the capable people, the ability, then what are the processes? How are we going to actually run these businesses? What is required for a distribution utility to be successful? And once we've got the processes, then we understand what data we need. Then only can we look at systems. And the challenge is many times we believe that bringing in a brand new system will solve our problems, which is far from the truth. And once we even have reached the stabilization stage, as we introduce the new technologies, which you're seeing on the right-hand side of my slide, each one of these new technologies require new competencies, new processes, additional data, and in very often new systems that need to be integrated into our legacy environment to be able to provide a way forward. Now, it is very possible to start bringing some of these technologies into the present thing in terms of crisis management, in terms of being able to do things. There are some opportunities. We've already seen smart meters being rolled out. Again, the way in which we install smart meters, how we use it, what we hope to get. I'm the lucky recipient of a smart meter in my utility. It is still manually read every month. The implementation of a 4,000 or 5,000 Rand meter to a customer that's buying 100 to 200 Rand electricity a month at a profit margin of even 50 Rand a month would mean that by the time that meter is obsolete, you have just started to pay it off. Similarly, what we can do is looking at customer analytics. The customers that we have, are the tariffs right? Who's paying? If they're not paying, what is the reason behind that they're not non-payment? What is the service levels that we have? With the limited capital we have, where do we best invest it? So while we have all of these technology enablements, we need to have competencies and processes to be able to integrate that into our business. Some other interesting aspects, we've heard recently of Eskom looking at 513 megawatts of energy storage. We've seen the round of risk mitigation projects, energy storage core to many of them. And looking forward as well, many of us at home have got already, rather than forward, have solar coupled with storage or just backup storage. Now, as we look to the future, both the consumer side infrastructure and the network utility side infrastructure become merged into an ecosystem that needs to be properly managed. And in order to do this, we need to be able to understand what is that data. And once we have that data, we need to be able to analyze it in order to make sure that we send the right signals back out into the industry, back out to our consumer. Taking a recent example, the president announced about that we will buy spare electrons. So if you got electrons, utilities will be able to buy those electrons. Very easily said. If you look the enabling infrastructure that needs to support that energy purchase, it is quite significant. Very few, if not all of our utilities are not currently in a position to be able to manage the bidirectional transfer of energy. That in some cases we have limited net metering installed, but as per the ESCOM proposals, in order for a customer to sell the energy back to the grid, the customer has to pay for that new smart meter. Immediately again, so although we're putting solutions on the table, what we are seeing is our historical blockages. And I think, again, Tommy alluded to that very, very well. We know what the changes should be, but we dogmatically stick to what we've had in the past because that's our comfort zone. That's the way we've always done business. And those are the models that need to change. Again, the key thing is not reinventing everything. If I just take on something like processes, Eskom, City Power, the City of Cape Town, eThekwini, all of these utilities have got mature business processes. The approach in the industry should be, how do we share those processes with everyone else to gain maximum benefit for Company South Africa? Similarly, in terms of be it a job profile or data models or the success or failures of what we've implemented, those learnings and lessons need to be shared among all. In terms of mitigating the crisis, it's too challenging for all of us to make our own mistakes. We need to learn from those that have gone before us and successfully implemented.
All right, Rakesh, we'll start wrapping up now.
Okay, no, thank you, Valley. I think in conclusion, if we look at what we've got, is there are many technologies that we can take, that we can leverage for the future. But the most important message I'd like to leave with Valley is that we need to get the basic fundamentals right, get our competencies, processes, and data and systems working before we can leverage the future digital technologies. Thank you, Valley.
Thanks, Rakesh, and thanks once again for your thought-provoking presentation. I think I think you covered aspects on people, processes, and plant in the main, but I think you focused a lot on people and processes, which I think in this 0 to 3-year journey and the 0 to 10-year journey is going to be a significant element. I think the 0 to 3-year journey, the aspect of doing more with less. In other words, how do we achieve that future-proofing? Well, future meaning 0 to 3 years, with the current resources and leveraging on it. When I say resources, I mean manpower, and of course, all the electronic processes, software stuff, and all of that. So I think we do have them in bits and pieces. I think we need to consolidate them, but they need to be underpinned by I think, the manpower resources. And that's where I think Tommy also mentioned that. So going forward, and given that as a market, digitalization is going to be front and center. And how do we leverage on that? We need to do it. And I know Prof. Naidu talked about how the job market, and excuse the pun there, I think, was able to, for 123 years, leverage on that key strength, as a commodity. And I think we need to take learnings from that. But yeah, I think the point is taken that if we don't get the processes right and the people to back it up, we're going to be on an idling to nothing. But I'm sure there's questions coming up, and we'll defer that when we get to the panel session. So thanks again, Rakesh. Much appreciated.
Thanks, Valley.